Alright, hey everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, finally Friday. Definitely ready for the weekend. This has been a very busy week for me, but let's wind down with some scripting. How about? Alright, okay, volume looks good. Open up Unity, and here we go. Alright, so I'm just gonna play to make sure that the scroll thing still works, because it looks a little weird. Oops, we need this. Alright, so when I click, okay. Yeah, so the button still is a little weird, but it works. So now we need to signal back to the game logic whenever we press one of these buttons. Hey Ricardo, I'm doing well. How are you doing? I thought you were on vacation or something. But glad you could make it. Alright, so what we want to do here is subscribe to the Click Messenger. Let's see. Actually, this isn't public. We could just get the button script, or sorry, button component. Oh, no problem. Alright, and then button on click. We got this, create this function here. Do I know any German? Not really. That's not going to create a function for me. I mean, I only know how to say, like, Danke is thank you, I think. Right, so I thought that it would just have a... Let me send this function right here. Oops, can I spell? Okay, good, I was right. Button clicked event. Okay, I'm gonna need to look this up actually. I thought that we did this on the chess game. Okay, so we just have to, it's not an actual our callback, it's a fancy listener. Alright. Okay, so when we get a click, we want to refer back to the ability window. So I guess we need to provide the buttons with a reference to this ability window. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. And then we'll just store this. Oh, maybe we shouldn't use the term parent. because that could get confusing with Unity's transform parent. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Okay, so then on click. Okay, so the window's also going to need to provide us with an index so that we can call on button clicked on the window to let the window know that this specific button was clicked. We probably shouldn't use that either. Let's say in window index. Alright, and then we can go ahead and create this function. I don't know why it inserted it right there, it's a little strange place. Internal is good actually. Alright, so here where whenever we create the button we need to call the setup class, so I guess I need to pull this out. And button setup. This and the index. So what is it? It's visible buttons count plus I. Oh, not one. Wait, that's it, right? Oh, well, this index actually keeps being incremented, so it's actually just visible buttons count minus 1. Because that'll be where the last index in this list. Okay, so that makes it a little easier. Okay, so now I guess we'll need to have another message here. It'll be a claim because we'll actually send this back to other classes. So on button click, or that wouldn't be what this is called. Alright, let's put that right here, and claim message. It's not really on ability selected, it's actually more like a command. Tag. So we'll need to create a new one. How about set selected ability? Alright, and then all we have to do is call this. So pretty simple. Alright, so now we just need to subscribe to this in the ability selection controller, which is in here, I think. Alright, so controller sub to message. And it's just the one that we just created, so set selected ability. Okay. And Another way that we could do this is actually have the ability select window set the ability in the scope, since it actually has a reference to it. But I don't know. I'm not sure if we should be having this window actually change things like that. This works anyway. Alright, so basically we want to make sure that we're in the right phase. If we are, then we call scope ability equals index. And we might want to make sure this ability is actually good, but can wait to do that. Alright, and then we just call this on ability chosen, which, did I already do that? Selection flow manager. Okay, right here, and it goes ahead and sets choose actions. So let's try this out. Okay, yeah, now it changed to choose actions, which does nothing right now, obviously, because we haven't created that. Alright, so okay, let's try and make another ability just to see if it will show up in the list. Okay, I guess we need to create the file first. Where is it? Streaming assets, right here. Okay, so we have ability move. Let's just create, what do I want to call it? Ability. Let's just go with something simple. Ability fireball. It'll basically just be a ranged cast whenever we get to that. Okay, so let's copy this. And why not? We'll do one more. It's gonna just be a melee attack, so let's call it punch. Okay, so now I need to add these to the table of contents. Fireball and punch. And we need to make sure that the monsters know that. Okay, so why don't we have gold, no fireball, and silver can no punch. Alright. So now when we play, all that stuff should load. Okay, we've got an error. There's a duplicate ability of fireball. Okay, well that's not true because obviously fireball's in here only once, so that error contains an error itself. Monster prototype has a duplicate ability. Well, why don't we debug the indexes each time? How about we have the mod ability name as well? Let's just see what this gives us. Right, so 0 move. Okay, so for some reason they both have an index of 0. Which makes no sense. Because that's saying that the ability name map has both of those abilities at index 0. Okay, well I guess that actually could happen if I set this up wrong. Oh, you know what? I bet. Yeah, this is block prototypes. Okay, yeah, so I just forgot to change that. Okay, so now everything loaded. And then when I click here, okay, so move is still there. Oh, we got an error, so let's check that out. Oh, it's not going to load it, is it? Because it's inside a system class. But it was refresh list at 74. While I'm here, let's comment out that log. Alright. 74. Index out of range, okay. Okay, that means that some of this count logic is messed up, which I was kind of afraid of. Okay, so let's see. And then while I is less than num buttons, we want to add another to it. Okay, we do add one there, so that should be right. And then we want to remove. Okay, so let's start here. While I is greater than or equal to num buttons. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and now we don't need this index, we can just use I itself. Okay, so this basically should add buttons until visible button count is equal to num buttons. And this does the opposite, it removes until visible button is equal to num buttons. So hopefully that will fix this error. Okay, and that does. So they got move and fireball. Alright. So now we'll do some scripts. So basically abilities should be grayed out in the window if they have no, like if they can't be used at this time. So we basically need to create a Lua script that we can call for each ability that will let us know if it's not usable. Okay, so let's start adding that. So the abilities are actually going to have a lot of different Lua scripts because we need this script to tell if ability is usable, then we need another one to give us all possible targets for an ability, and then we'll probably need another one to figure out all of the actions an ability will create once everything is chosen. But we'll just do it one by one, I think. So what should I call it? Let's say ability. How about just usable? I don't need to add ability to the beginning. Usable callback. Query makes more sense because we're asking the ability if it's usable. Callback usually implies that we're telling the ability that something's happened. So let's see. I guess we'll need to load it first before I can do any calls. Pod load manager takes care of all that for us. Okay, so where's load ability file right here. Okay, well this just starts. Oh no, this is when the file has been loaded, so yeah, I can load a function now. So load Lua function. Mod name. So I guess it's ability dot usable query, and then the exception name. Okay, what do I call it in other places? Wait, why do I do it two string formats right there? That's useless. Okay, so this is ability usable. Oops, I put the quote in the wrong spot. Usable query. Alright, so now I need to go and create this function. Trying to decide how I want to. I guess for now we'll just create everything in one file. So ability scripts dot Lua. And then I need to add that onto our table of contents so it'll load that script file. Oh, I guess I haven't created it yet. I think it's just script files, yeah. Okay, and this is different because this script file is only loaded if this map is used. So let's see, ability scripts. Just gonna make sure in the table of contents file that I named that correctly. Yeah, script files, okay. And then I should edit it here. Alright, so if you put anything in the global namespace, you should probably put some prefix for it to say that this is your function for the specific mod. So I'm gonna put test content at the beginning, because all mods will share the global namespace, or yeah, I guess that's what you call it in Lua. And you don't want one mod to override another mod's function. That could cause some problems. So ability move usable its function, and we'll probably send something, but I'm not sure what. But basically a move will always be usable for now. And fireball usable will always return false. And then for punch, I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so here, usable query. We'll call test content ability move usable. I can copy this over into the other ability files just to save a little typing. Alright, so let's just try and load this and see, make sure there's no errors here. Okay. Unfortunately, there's no way we can actually see if the file was loaded correctly. Okay, so now that's because the Lua functions are not serializable in any way that Unity can show us in this debug screen. Alright, so now we want to go to the game's ability class, and we can actually store that function here to be called at any time. And it's called a closure, is a class for a Lua function. That's what Moonsharp decided to call it. Okay, so this will be usable query. And finally, in the asset organizer, we need to basically place that function there. So LData, oops. Wait, this is, yeah, monster prototype. These functions are getting pretty large. Need to, soon I'm sure we'll need to split them up just for readability. Okay, so how do I get the closure? I forget. Lua functions, is it as simple? I think I need to use the mod files helper asset key. Oh well, no, because it's again, functions are on the global namespace, so we can just use the string that's directly in the table of contents file. So mod data usable query. And I guess we can go ahead and log this just to make sure something is loaded in there. And we don't need to do any error checking, because if something was wrong with this function, it would have thrown an error doing loading. Okay, so let's look up for the debug log. It's map generation. Okay, yeah. Well, doesn't really give us any information, but at least we know it's not null. Okay, so now are we ready to call the function? And where should we call that function? Okay, I'm pretty sure that we should have a separate class. Yeah, probably for every Lua call, we should have like its own class that will take care of it. So let's call this I guess we can just call it ability usable Lua caller. That's fine for now. And this will take the place subcontroller. Okay, so before I start adding data, I figure it'll just be easier to create the function right here. So I think I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be anything different between usable and unusable, but just in case we have some third state, I'll create this namespace, or not namespace, enumeration. And this will be what the Lua function will return. So unknown, usable, and not usable. Okay, and I'm going to create basically a query that any object can call. And I know from experience with the chess game that it's better to have the return value be some structure in case we ever need to change what values we return. So ability usable Lua call result. Right now this is all we'll return. I can't really see us needing to send anything else back, but just in case. And then I'll do the same thing with the arguments. Call parameters. So here there will be a few things because there'll be the ability ID and the monster ID. Okay, so private ability usable result. Let's not do that. Let's call it do. That's fine. Oh, I can't use that because it's a C# keyword. I'm just going to do that so it won't throw an error. Actually, not implemented. Well, I guess I don't really need to get a reference to the query. We can just say controller claim query. Making sure that I'm pretty sure the return value goes first, and then we can just send do Lua like that. Okay, so now this is all set up, and now anything else can grab this query and basically call this function. And of course, the advantage to doing it this way instead of just making this a static function or something is that the other classes don't actually have to know who implements this function. So that kind of helps your game stay, well, the technical term is decoupled. But you want to try and have scripts depend on each other as little as possible so you can, I guess, reuse scripts, and if you change one aspect of a script, it won't affect other things as much. Alright, so now we're ready to actually call the Lua function. Which I think I have a helper function to do that. Okay, I don't do that here actually. So we do call Lua one other place in the map generation. I think it's here, map creator. Let's clear this out a little bit, there's too many classes up there. Okay, so all I do is just call. So that's fine, I guess. Okay, so we will need the game database. Database equals controller, get components. Okay, we don't want to call the map generation function. So what we need to do, I guess I don't need to, I was gonna get a reference to the closure out here, but I guess it doesn't really make any difference. So parameters, oh wait, ability ID dot usable query call. Okay, and then of course we need to pass some information. Question is, what do we want to give? And then this will be we'll need to figure out how we'll handle Lua errors during runtime or during playtime. actually don't. Don't I already have a play exception? Thought I remembered creating that. Oh yeah, right here. So we can use that. Oh, it doesn't like this. Okay, so well, I guess for now we'll just send a string, but I really want to make these exceptions a little easier, because again, it's not good to just hard code a string because it doesn't allow for localization, and so I think it might be better if we just sent like the type of exception and then some other arguments, and then wherever we display the exception we can build the string from that. But that's not our focus for today. Okay, so right now, and nothing catches this, but probably that should happen in the whatever calls this query. Should do the try catch. Okay, and then we'll need the dynamic value that the Lua function returns. I need to set it to null, of course. And then, so if return value is null, well, this shouldn't ever happen, but so we'll just skip over that. What is it? Type? Okay, so if it's Boolean, I guess we should create the call result function, or structure right here. Result. Okay, so if return value Boolean is true, then results equals usable. Otherwise, can't spell it. It's not usable. And of course, the function could return a string. Go ahead and support this as well. So switch return value string to upper variant. We'll just set this again. I guess we'll have unusable because that's another way to say that. Alright, and then if it's anything else, yeah, well, if there's any other string here, they'll need to throw an error. Legal return value from ability usable function. And then we'll do this basically the same thing for this other switch, because we'll only support a string or boolean. Alright, and this should be exception and ability usable query function. We should probably put the name as well, but I guess we can. Well, I won't worry about it because I'm going to redo those strings in the future. Okay. So now we're basically ready to handle whatever returns. Okay, so let's just try this out, because right now these functions just return a true or false anyway. And of course we'll want to be able to send Lua some more information, because right now it doesn't even know what monster is using the ability, which obviously is pretty important. And then I'll need a lot of other information, like where the monster is and things like that. But now let's go to the window. Where is it? Down here. Okay, so it'll get a handle on that query. Did I spell it all out? Okay, there we go. And then usable query is use query, and then I just need to copy these types again. Why did I do that? And I don't have to pass anything else, do I? Okay, so right here while we set the name, we should also call button set usable. It's I, and monster ID is scope monster. And we'll basically only care about the state, and it's only going to be usable if that. Generate method. Usable. And I think buttons have an interactable. Yeah, and I think this should be grayed out if it's not usable. It definitely won't let us click it anyway. Okay, so I don't do a try catch here. I guess I probably should. That's one thing. It seems weird for the ability select window to take care of errors. Well, I guess it's okay, because this isn't like a critical function. So if there's an error here, we don't need to or stop the whole game. So play exception. So let's say debug log error exception message. And then we'll just set this button to not usable. Oops. Okay, so that makes... I think that'll be okay. Alright, I need to create this new Lua Caller class. Where is it? The play subcontroller. Ability usable Lua Caller. Alright, so let's try it. Hi, like me YX message. Well, I just want to print out whatever the error is there, just so I can see what it says. It doesn't actually do anything. Because this will trigger if any of these exceptions fire, and then we'll be able to see exactly what this string is. Oh, why not toString? Oh, I guess we could do that. Oh, well, that is true. Unity even has that log exception. That's probably a better idea, because then we can get the stack trace. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Oh, got an error somewhere. Oh. I'm gonna come back to that, so I'll just throw something in there to make it happy. Alright, so now... Okay, we did get something wrong. This method or operation is not implemented. Oh! I forgot to remove this. Okay. Note to self, don't do that again. And then we just return result. Alright. Okay, so something else. Object not set to instance. Oh, that's because, yeah, this is actually called before start. I'm surprised we don't get an error there as well, but... So all I have to do is call this on awake. Or run this code on awake, I mean. For any I'm a full exception, exactly. So, let's see. Okay, now it worked. Fireball's grayed out. You can't click on it. Alright, perfect. Okay, so... I think that's good for now. I'm trying to decide what I want to do next, because we could try to send this Lua call more often. But I'm not sure. I mean, send this Lua call more information. Or we could go on to trying to find out the targets that you can select. That's kind of big, so maybe it'd be better if we do this information because it's shared by all calls. something wrong with my Twitter? Guess I better check. Okay, so let's see. I guess pretty much we want to have a class that Lua can read almost everything out of the battle and the battle log, probably. Sorry, look me, I don't know what you mean. Why my Twitter? I just mean my Twitter account. Okay, so forget, I already created a Lua namespace, didn't I? Don't see it here. Oh, the Lua interface. Okay, so let's say, what do I want to call this? Current I guess current state, maybe current battle state. Oh, well, it counts as understood. Is this public? It should be moon sharp. I forget what the... Yeah, moon sharp user data. And let's see. What do I want to send in here? Can I show the progress? Sure. And we finally got this button grayed out. Oh, that's kind of funny. From a Lua script, and now you can actually click the move button and it'll move on to choose actions. So right now I'm working on sending the Lua code more information about the current battle. Yeah, making some good progress. Alright, so I guess I can just copy this over. Well, it doesn't really need to store that, does it? So let's say let's call it monster. Yeah, it's a pretty nice song. Alright, so I guess function here, get monster. Do I want to have an index? Forget how I did it. Field generation. Oh yeah, so we just have block position. We won't need a previous battle. I don't think the Lua will care about that. I don't know why I keep trying to do public fields there. And alright, so before I did the field gen, it kind of kept I think it built these as needed. That was a pretty good idea. And then just kept it in this. I'm going to sleep soon, alright, like me. Thanks for coming by. Have a good night. Oh, are you learning German, Storm? That's pretty cool. Okay, so I think I'll do the same thing here. So it'll be like a dictionary for the monster ID. Oh, it's the wrong class. Oh, cool. Yeah, I have one of those apps, but I haven't really done much on it. Monster cache. Okay, yeah, so this decremented the index, just because that's always gotta do that with Lua. And yeah, we can just store one reference to each monster because it won't change until this turn is over. So once we create it, basically don't need to do it again. No. So I don't really need to mess with the index. Okay, and then monster equals new, and then we'll pass the index to it here. Probably need to pass the battle data as well, but I'll get to that. Oh, just for simplicity, I think the index should be the same. And then monster cache. Oh, don't need to make another new one. And okay. if I'm going to decrement the index every time. So int id equals index minus 1. Oh yeah, it's still complaining because I don't have a constructor, so I'll just create that. Alright. So let's change this to Lua index, and this will be the game index. Or how about data index? Makes more sense. Okay, so yeah, we'll definitely need a reference to the battle. And this needs to be moon sharp hidden, of course, so that Lua can't call the constructors. Oh wait, not game data, we need... Well, I guess we do need both. So game data... database and battle... Oops. Alright, and then we can store this in here so we can pass it on. Oops. And this is database. And Lua won't be able to access this private, these private fields, so it's okay. So I think we'll... Yeah, we better pass both these to the monster. And I'll go ahead and generate the constructor again so I don't have to type it all. Oh, how nice it went ahead and made some fields for us. And then this needs to be moon sharp hidden, and I need to hide the default constructor. Alright, and so now we can basically return any information about this that we want. The main thing is just to get the infrastructure up, but I think I'll go ahead and return position. Okay, so how do I create this? Let's create a new constructor here just to help me out. So this column equals C, this row and layer. Yeah, and this is already in Lua. indexes, so I need to be sure to add one. So hex position. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Oh, very wrong. Alright, so data position equals hex position from map index, so I can pass the field away from battle. And then the index from the monster. Oh wait. Dot position. Okay, and now we just need to return a new block position, but we need to add one to each of these values. Just to, again, just to keep things consistent with Lua. Okay, and no setting. We won't be able to set this value because we want the monsters to be immutable, which basically just means can't be changed. Basically everything that we'll send to this function shouldn't be changed. Okay, so now we have the battle state, and I guess we can see we want to be able to, for it to read information from the battle log as well, because it might need that kind of thing. We don't need to do another class. How about pretty much the only thing it will need to know is like past actions, I would think. So maybe I don't need to do anything else. Alright, so let's go back to the Lua caller and add in this. This state, I mean, it's gonna have like these things built up. So we probably don't need to create it every time this is called. So I don't really want to make it, I can just make it a variable, that's fine. So private. Not. I know I have, I guess I wasn't using Beluga, that's funny. Oops. And this will just, yeah, I'll just leave the namespace there so it's more obvious. So, Lua info. Get variable of this type, and we don't need to give it a tag because I doubt there'll be any other variables of this type, so that should be fine. Oh yeah, this should variable subscription. Yeah, so something else will create this, maybe just the subcontroller.